My name is Wilma, and I'm 45 years old. I have a high school daughter and a middle school son with my husband Willie. Initially, after getting married, we lived in an apartment. However, when our daughter was born, my in-laws insisted that we should raise our children in a spacious house for their sake. So we ended up living together with my in-laws. I wouldn't say that my relationship with my in-laws was terrible, but if someone asked if it was good, I couldn't confidently say so. My in-laws always took my husband's side and he relied on them too much. Even when it was evident that my husband was at fault in an argument, my in-laws would blame me. Because of these things, living with my in-laws was not exactly comfortable. When my daughter was born, instead of celebrating her arrival, my in-laws threw instinctive words at me. "Oh, it's a girl. Well, she may be cute and all, but it'd be nice to have a boy next time, for an heir." They didn't even bother to comfort me during the physically and mentally exhausting postpartum period. I discussed my in-laws' comments with my husband. "Well, yes, only a boy can be the successor, right? So do your best to have a boy next time." He casually responded as if it was nothing. "Seriously? Is he an idiot? Doesn't he know how difficult childbirth is? I can't give birth to a child all by myself. He should also make an effort." Inside my heart, I exploded with dissatisfaction toward my husband. After several years, we finally had a baby boy, but something bothered me. "He doesn't really look like me, does he?" "True, if anything, he resembles Wilma more, don't you think?" Our newborn child didn't resemble my husband much. Based on such a trivial reason, neither my husband nor my mother-in-law showed any particular affection toward him. My husband has a younger sister with 2 boys of her own. Both my husband and mother-in-law doted on my sister-in-law's sons, treating them as their own grandchildren, not mine. Even my daughter and son, at a young age, seemed to sense this disparity. Whenever my sister-in-law's family visited my in-laws, my children always wore a lonely expression on their faces. To prevent my children from experiencing any unpleasantness, I made an effort to take them shopping and distract them while my sister-in-law's family was in town. Despite the difficulties, my children are now in high school and middle school. My husband and my in-laws did make an effort to treat the children as part of the family. Looking back, maybe it was a good thing that we raised them in this spacious house. Or perhaps I forced myself to think that way. One day, when my husband returned home from work, he approached me with a serious expression. "We need to talk." "What's the matter?" I asked, taking a seat in front of him. Awkwardly, he opened his mouth and spoke with a heavy tone. "I want a divorce." The suddenness of his words left me speechless. "I've been putting up with it all this time. Please set me free," he said, pushing me away with his words. "Set you free? It's actually me who's the victim here." I couldn't keep up my husband's outrageous statement. Still, I desperately tried to gather my thoughts and respond. "Why the sudden divorce? We never talked about this before, did we?" "I've fallen in love with someone else. I want to be happy with that person. That's why you and the kids are in the way," he said unabashedly. Lately, I had noticed that my husband had been coming home late, and it did concern me. However, both of us were approaching 50 years old. I honestly never imagined him cheating at this stage of our lives. So, you've been having an affair. It's not an affair. I'm serious about this. My husband responds with selfish and nonsensical arguments. Whether he is serious or not, cheating is still cheating. He seems to have completely disregarded the fact that he is a married man with children. There's no point in talking to him any further. The children have grown up to some extent, and if I receive child support and get divorced, we should be able to manage somehow. So I said decisively, I'll grant your wish for a divorce, but in return, I'll take custody of the children. If you and the kids leave, will they satisfy you? However, the words that came out of my husband's mouth were unexpected. No, there's no need for you to leave. I'll leave instead. I was completely stunned by my husband's words. What is he saying? You're living in your own parents' house without a doubt, so it's not me who's leaving, but you? Ignoring my utter confusion, my husband smiled. Not only that, but his attitude seemed to suggest that he was doing me a favor by leaving. If you continue living there in my parents' house, your living situation won't change, and it will be convenient for you. The children won't have to change school either. I'm a little confused here. Why is it you who's leaving, not us? Suppressing my anger, I asked, and my husband began to explain with a smug expression. Why? Mom and Dad would want to be separated from their grandchildren, right? And Wilma, you and the kids would prefer to stay in this big house, wouldn't you? Or do you want to become a single mother and live in a cramped apartment? Well, of course, but my husband continued. Besides, I also want to live a life with her, just two of us. In the end, that was my husband's true intention. He's saying he wants to leave because he wants to live with his mistress. It's ridiculous. I can't stand being with this person any longer. Fine, if you're going to leave, I don't mind, but I'm leaving this house too. There's no point in staying in your parents' place when we're getting a divorce. Suddenly, my husband shouted in a loud voice. No, that won't work. Surprised by his insulted outburst, I asked, What do you mean it won't work? My parents are getting up there in age, right? What do you do if something happens? I need you to stay here and take care of my parents. It will be a problem if you don't. I see, that's his true intention. Basically, he wants to use me as a caregiver while he happily lives with his mistress. He's seriously spouting such self-centered nonsense from the depths of his heart. I can't tolerate that in any way, I strongly refuted my husband. Wait a minute, what are you talking about? There's no obligation for me to take care of the parents of my divorced spouse. We've been married for almost 20 years and they were like your own parents, right? Yes, you were going to abandon the parents of the family who took care of you all this time. That's irresponsible. Irresponsible, you say? Besides, it would be cruel to separate the children from my parents. It would be too much of a burden for you to suddenly take care of two kids. Well, if you continue living in your parents' house, you save on rent and living expenses. Exactly, I'll be with my girlfriend and you'll be with the kids and my parents. It'll be all happy and wonderful. My husband continues to paint me as the villain and present his selfish theories. Only you're happy in your delusional world, Mr. Fantasyland. Besides, my in-laws haven't shown that much affection toward our children. Basically, they just want me to stay at their house as your caregiver. You're gravely mistaken if you think I will accept such a selfish proposal. I will live with my children, just the three of us. We are leaving this house as well. Despite my assertiveness, my husband doesn't back down. If you are leaving the house, don't expect any financial support. It will be your problem, not mine. This situation is going nowhere. At the moment, perhaps hearing our arguing voices, my in-laws came into the living room. Now, both of you calm down, said my carefree father-in-law, trying to pacify the situation. There's no way we can calm down. With that in mind, I decided to inform my in-laws about my husband's foolish behavior. Father-in-law, mother-in-law, Willie is having an affair. He wants to divorce me and be with his mistress. Without missing a bit, my husband retorted. But don't worry, even if I leave, Wilma and the kids will stay in the house. Wilma will take care of you both as well. Even though Willie's parents have always been on his side, it's obvious he's at fault when it comes to infidelity. This time, I expected them to scold him severely, but the words that came back from my in-laws were unexpected. I see. In the case, we're relieved. That's right. Well, then, Wilma, we'll be counting on you from now on. What is this turn of events? Could these people insane? Do they seriously believe that I will take care of them after their son has cheated? I won't let them have their way any longer. At the moment, everything I have been holding back burst out of me. Enough is enough. I am living with the children. I won't stay in this house. I won't take care of you, father-in-law and mother-in-law. My statement made my in-laws furious. What did you say? Are you repaying the favor we've done for you with ingratitude? That's right. If you are a daughter-in-law, it's only natural for you to take care of us. Continuing, my husband responded with a flushed face. Don't say irresponsible thing, Wilma. I've already told you. If you're not staying in the house, there won't be any division of property. It'll be your problem. Feel free to do as you please. My decision remains unchanged. Ignoring my husband and in-laws, I left the living room. I decided to tell everything to the children tomorrow. With that in mind, I went to sleep. The next day, I invited my daughter and son, who had a day off from school, to have breakfast at a restaurant, and we left the house early in the morning. We hadn't gone out as a family of three for a while, so the children seemed delighted. I want to eat this. Let's share this and this. They were excited and adorable. After placing our orders, I looked into my children's eyes and spoke. Listen, today I have something important to tell you. As I started, my daughter and son put down their phones and looked at me. I think mommy and daddy are going to get divorced. As I spoke, they both showed a momentary expression of surprise, but it seemed like my daughter quickly understood something. It's probably daddy's fault, right? She said with a smile. I was taken aback by my daughter's unexpected reaction. I never expected her to easily accept the fact of the divorce. Following my daughter, my son also seemed to have realized something and continued. It's not just Dad's fault. It's also his parents' fault, right, Mom? As I faltered, my daughter gently held my hand. Mom, it's going to be okay. We're not just children anymore. Can you tell us the truth? It was as if they could see right through my hurt, speaking in a gentle voice. I fought back for tears and told my children everything. Actually, Dad is having an affair with another woman. That's why he brought up the divorce, saying he will leave and we should stay in that house. And then your grandparents, that is, Grandpa and Grandma, told me to take care of them. Upon hearing my explanation, the children responded, What? What does Mom have to do that? No, seriously, I've always thought he was crazy, and he still is. Mom, it's better not to have a proper conversation with him. It's just tiring. Anyway, we'll stick with Mom, so don't worry. It's going to be okay. The children are on my side. I couldn't help but be moved, even in such a situation, realizing how much they had grown without me realizing it. When he returned home, my in-laws rushed over the children, looking worried. Oh, thanks goodness, I thought these children were taken away by Wilma. My husband angrily approached, standing tall like a statue. Where were you guys? Just out for breakfast. Perhaps he didn't like our daughter's casual attitude. My husband suddenly lost his temper. What is that attitude toward your father? In response, my daughter immediately fired back. You cheated, and then you call yourself a father. How foolish. My husband couldn't say anything in return. His face contorted. With everyone present, I opened my mouth calmly. I told these children everything. I'm divorcing their father and living with them. Upon hearing these words, my husband-in-law exploded in anger. I won't allow such selfishness, abandoning us in our care. How irresponsible. Then just leave yourself. Don't involve the children. Hearing that, I firmly responded, Don't involve the children? Well, it's their will to leave this house too, My in-laws refused to believe what I said. Mom, what you're saying is true, the children retorted. An idiot father who cheats and crazy grandparents who depend him without blaming him. It's impossible to live with those people, seriously. Besides, neither Dad or Grandpa and Grandma have never cared about us. Don't act like a family now. We've decided to stick with Mom. The harsh words from the children shocked their grandparents, unable to hide their dismay. Perhaps they never expected their own children to speak to them like this, as their faces turned pale. That's how it is. Thank you for everything you've done for us. As I declared that, my in-laws finally began to prostrate themselves. Wait, Wilma, that's just too much. Putting aside taking care of us, who will do the household chores? You couldn't even handle the household chores, and you used to bully Mom? I need to be careful not to become a mother-in-law like you in the future. My son chimed in. If we stay in this place, we'll end up just like them. Let's not waste our energy on them. Well then, I'll pack our things. Even my in-laws were left speechless. My husband's face, drained of all life, was his magnum opus. After the children finished packing, the three of us returned to my parents' home. Thanks, Mom. I could speak my mind to those people and feel refreshed. They said to me, I'm truly glad I gave birth to these children. From the bottom of my heart, I believe that. Afterward, I hired a divorce lawyer and requested child support. It was a busy period, but I managed to receive the payment successfully. It seems my husband was dumped by his affair partner. He could make his dream of a lovely dovey life with his new girlfriend come true, and is still living at his parents' house. Word spread in the neighborhood that we had left, and my in-laws are being regarded with cold eyes. Honestly, it feels like karma. Although we got divorced, I can come over anything as long as I'm with these two. From now on, I will make sure to bring happiness to these children on my own. That's a promise I made in my heart.